everyone. This is Tandy Elisala, your host for Your Vibrant Life Summit, Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. Welcome to this interview where we're going to be talking with Takara Shelor about You Can Be Magnificent. Debbie Takara Shelor is a best-selling author, award-winning speaker, engineer, and consultant. She helps people step into their true magnificence, regain their confidence, align with the divine, heal from their past, and stay in perpetual flow with the universe, resulting in rapid goal achievement while living a joy-filled life. After a life-altering mystical encounter with dolphins while meditating in 1993, she left the security of a high-paying engineering management career in the pharmaceutical industry to move to an island and start a nonprofit for dolphins and whales. She took a deep dive into personal and spiritual growth, metaphysics, energy healing, and how life really works. Takara teaches how to apply real-world savvy with spiritual finesse, making life easier, significantly less stressful, and much more fun. She is the leader of the #1 best-selling book collaboration, Dolphins and Whales Forever. Takara has authored other several books, including the bestseller, Peering Through the Veil, the step-by-step guide to meditation and inner peace. She is the creator of Dancing Dolphin Sacred Healing Oils and Mists, and the Magnificent You and Dancing Dolphin Way training programs available online, on land, and at sea. She leads a global meditation each spring and fall equinox and facilitates the Wild Dolphin Lovers Group on Facebook. She is a homeschool mom. She has many websites, including www.magnificentu, that's the letter U.com. Today, Takara is going to be talking to us about how you can be magnificent. She's going to teach you how to go from ordinary to extraordinary, from a stress-filled, chaotic existence to one of flowing with the universe, and much more easily achieving our dreams, and much, much more. So welcome, Takara. And I'm sorry I messed up your last name. I just want you to be a Shelor.
I love Shelor. I think that's fantastic. And, Tandy, it is a delight to be here.
Thank you so much. So my first question for you is, you say when you can tap into your own magnificence, align with the divine, and learn to flow with the universe, miraculous things happen. Give us a personal example of what life can be like when it is lived in this way.
One of the most dramatic examples I have from my own life, there are many, many, many that I can choose from, but this one sort of brings home for people how dramatically different life can be, and that is when my divorce took exactly 1 hour and 15 minutes to occur.
Wow, I'm like gasping. I'm like, ooh.
I know. It is a pretty uncommon occurrence. But what happened is, because of the way that I live, because I have done those things that I talk about, stepping into my magnificence, aligning with the divine, and staying in perpetual flow with the universe that way, I have a very, very finely tuned intuition. And that's something that I teach. And so following my intuition, I knew absolutely positively, I didn't know why, but, my intuition said that I absolutely had to turn in all my paperwork for my divorce on a particular day. Now, that's very uncommon for me to have that sort of specific kind of thing. I usually get these hints that are like, go here, that you might want to go here.
Yeah.
But this was much more specific in that I needed to be doing a certain thing on a certain day, and so I just followed that intuition. And so when I took my paperwork to the courthouse in New Mexico, I gave it to the guy at the cashier's desk, and he typed some things into the computer, and out popped this name. And he just looked at me and he said, oh, no, the judge that's been assigned to your case is not in today. And I was like, okay, now what, And so he then takes one of those little tiny Post-it notes. I mean, those itsy tiny, like 1-inch Post-it notes, and he wrote 2 names on there, and he hands it to me, and he says, go upstairs and see if one of these 2 judges can help you. This guy wants me to wander the halls at a courthouse and find some random judge. I was like, this was so out of my comfort zone, you know. I don't know these people. Would I just wander into their office? Like what? Anyway, I trusted the universe that I was doing the right thing, and so I went upstairs. Now I dowse using a pendulum, and so I've got 2 names. So who should I go to? I didn't know the answer to that. So I went into the ladies' room, and I pulled out my pendulum, and I dowsed which of these 2 names where I should go, you know, just asking the universe to support me in this. And I was, one of the names, like the pendulum pointed to one of the names. I was like, okay. So I went into that office, and the lady took my paperwork, and she ruffled through the papers, and she put these little tags everywhere there needed to be a signature. And then she handed all the papers back to me. And she said, my judge is not in right now. He's at lunch. Why don't you take it over to this other judge? Hoy. So now I'm like, okay, wait a minute. The pendulum said to come here. So now I'm at a decision point. Do I stick with what the pendulum said, or do I follow the breadcrumbs, following what this woman has told me, and go to this other judge? And so I just sort of, tuned into my own intuition, and it was like, I know sometimes you just have to follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
So I went, you know what I mean. So I went to the other judge's office and spoke to the secretary there. Now, by this time, I've already been there just over an hour. And so my meter is running out of, I had to put money in the meter. It's quite expensive downtown Santa Fe. So I left the paperwork with this lady, and I said, okay, I've got to go put money in my meter. Is that okay? I'll be back. She's like, fine. So I go do that. And when I come back and walk into the office, she hands me the paperwork. And she says, take this to the cashier's desk. And I said, well, and then what? And she said, and then you're divorced. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. They had just had recently, like within a week or so, they had someone write a huge article for the local newspaper, the Santa Fe New Mexican, about do-it-yourself divorce in New Mexico. And they concluded, after great research and doing it themselves and all this stuff, that it took 51 days. And it took me exactly an hour. I know, and 15 minutes. So that's how different it can be when you're in tune and you follow those little inner promptings. So that's that's my most dramatic.
That really is.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Wow. So, you were once an engineer and a manager in a pharmaceutical company. Obviously, that's, a very different, sector than where you're at now. So how did you get interested in personal empowerment and spiritual growth?
Probably like most people that make that leap, it was sort of forced upon me. I hit the wall through stress, basically. I had everything people think they want. The great American dream. I had the great little red sports car. I had the cute guy on my arm. I had this wonderful position and manager in a pharmaceutical company. I was making tons of money. I flew here and there. I mean, I really had what everybody says they or thinks that they want, and I wasn't happy. I was not happy. The stress was over the top. And so finally one day I literally hit the wall. And the way that I hit the wall is I woke up one morning feeling really ill, like sick at your stomach, really nauseous. And the next thing I knew, I was remembering being raped.
Mm-hmm.
And so, sort of in the middle of a serious meltdown, I pulled it together enough to go into work, and I closed my boss's door, and I just said, I can't be here. And I told him what had happened. And he suggested I go see the nurse, who signed me up to see a psychologist or psychiatrist. I'm not sure which one, but, I saw someone professionally for, mental health. And what I learned in that process is that I had these deeply seated, these deeply buried memories that I had successfully kept at bay and kept out of my awareness. But so much stress from work meant I couldn't hide them anymore. So everything came like spilling out everywhere. So instead of being this really together, really, the great jet set life that I thought I was living, truthfully, I was quite a mess. And it was in that moment that I started hanging out at New Age bookstores and seeing energy healers and doing all kinds of things that I never would have done had I not gone through that experience. And something that was really interesting that I observed, part of my support at being an engineer and manager is that these psychological sessions were paid for, by my company. So I was going and seeing the psychologist, and they were, they got me into journaling, which was fantastic, and they suggested a few books to read. But when I started seeing energy healers, the questions that they began asking me seemed like they made so much more sense and were much more relevant to what I was feeling and going through. And in the long run, I believe you need to do all of it, but I started really relying more on alternative and energy healing and all of that sort of thing because I was seeing more improvement because of it.
Right. Wow. That is really a phenomenal and challenging story. And wow. So what miraculous manifestation was the most fun?
Oh, the most fun was living on $1 million yacht in Fiji.
Ooh.
As you can imagine.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm visualizing that now.
Right. Well, and that, that's actually part of the reason it manifested. And I didn't even realize it. But, I'm sure someone in the summit is going to talk about visualization and vision boarding and all of those wonderful skills. At least hopefully they are. But I didn't know I was doing that. I know all about that, and I do it on occasion. But what I was doing, I was feeling very inspired to change all the graphics on all my blogs and websites and all my social media profiles to a beautiful beach with a palm tree with turquoise water. So
wow.
I was making, that's what I was imprinting in my head, not even realizing that I was calling that in by doing it. So for anybody that's interested, that is a great method if you want to have it show up. So here I am sending out that signal, not even realizing that's what I was doing. And I had another intuitive knowing that I should look for a particular person on the Internet. It was a guy that I knew years ago when I lived in the San Juan Islands, and he'd been an artist. And I was really interested in finding out if he had become nationally famous or internationally famous, because he had this little gallery on the island. And I thought it would be so cool if he's now, internationally known. So I started looking for this guy, and it turned out he had a Facebook page. So I went to his profile on Facebook, asked to be a friend. He said yes, and I didn't really think that much more about it until a few days later. I had another intuitive a little thought flitted through my head, the kind of thought that most people would ignore, but I never do. You just have this little whim of a thought, and you keep going. I stop everything, and I follow those whims. Anyway, this little whim said, I wonder if there's anyone on this guy's list of friends that I know, because the San Juan Islands are small, and there's not a lot of people that live there. And he lived there, and I live there, so I bet there's other people that know him that know me, you know? So, so I started going through the list, and I came across this one name. And as soon as I did, I was like grinning from ear to ear, and I was thinking, Brian. And he's this delightful man. We'd been friends when I lived on the island. He used to call me up every now and then and say, how would you like to go to dinner? And I would say, sure. And I would meet him on the dock, and we would take some lovely fancy yacht, and we would travel to another island, and we'd have dinner somewhere. Because he was a yacht broker, and so he was constantly moving boats, and so it was really fun. Anyway, so we friended each other on Facebook and started a conversation, and it turned out that Brian was down in Puerto Vallarta, and he was about to, gosh, it makes me cry. He was 60 years old and about to go around the world circumnavigating in his own yacht. And that was his lifelong dream to do. And because we were friends, I know, it's amazing. He's like in Thailand right now. But this was several years ago. So he started inviting me to join him. So first he was in Puerto Vallarta, and then he crossed the Pacific, and he's in like Tahiti and Bora Bora and all these amazing places. And he kept inviting me to come. And I would laugh and say, yeah, no, I can't do that. You know, my lifestyle is very different than when he knew me, and I am a mom. You know, I'm a single parent, so I can't just take off on some crazy trip like I used to. You know, I used to be able to do that. So anyway, but one day he says to me, I really need your help because I've got to have somebody on board as crew. There's a couple leaving. They've got to go back to the U.S. for some IRS thing. And I need someone to come landing in Fiji, come on the boat, and stay for about a month and fly home from Brisbane, Australia.
Oh, gee.
And when he said that, like, literally it made me cry. I was like, I really, my soul, my inner knowing was like, yes, you have to do this. So I wrote him back. Now, all this is happening on, you know, chatting on Facebook or by email. And so I wrote him back and I said, you know, I really would love to do this, but I can't be gone a month. I have a kid. And he said, bring the kid. So my son and I flew to Fiji and stayed on board for 6 weeks. And it was the most glorious time ever. We island hopped through Fiji. We went to the Blue Lagoon. We went to where they did castaways. It was just amazing. Totally amazing. And that's all because of these little tiny whims that I followed.
Wow.
Anyway.
That is pretty cool. Yeah. You know, when you were talking about, you know, the visualization of being in Fiji and all of that, and, you know, we talk about vision boards. Just a really quick story about that. I had, you know, in following my little whims as well, I, you know, had visualized that I went on a cruise because I love cruises. But at the time, you know, I hadn't taken a cruise yet. And the very first vision board I did, I had a picture of a cruise ship. And it wasn't any particular one. It was just, you know, the intention was just being on a cruise. And I had the picture of the cruise ship, and I had the picture of a car, and a particular car that I wanted. And I kept it in my bathroom and hung it up, and I just kind of, you know, I looked at it every day. And after a couple of years, I was looking closely at it. I was actually taking a bubble bath, and I was looking at it, and I said, well, isn't that something? I have that exact car in that exact color. And then I thought, and look at that cruise ship. And I looked closer, and I was like, oh, my gosh, this is the exact cruise ship that I was on.
Yep.
And I didn't even think about it until several years had passed, and I went back and looked, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I just share that with you and with everyone to share that kind of setting that intention and seeing that, doing that visualization, and, even committing it to paper or picture or whatever is really, really powerful. So
it is really powerful. Cool. And I have the same story about a car that you do.
Really?
Yes, my very first vision board I ever created, because I read it in some business magazine of all things. This was long before I woke up to personal empowerment and spirituality and all that stuff. I made my first vision board, and I put on there a gold RX-7 back when they were still a new phenomena and quite cool sports cars. And within 2 years, I had a gold RX-7. And I didn't even realize it. I was driving it around, and I thought, wait a minute, didn't I used to have a picture of this car on my wall, I mean, it is. It's really powerful. But I will throw in something even more maybe advanced around manifesting using these sort of tools. What I have received directly, I call it direct revelation, these inspirations I get from within, inner wisdom, it's that whatever your clair is, whether you're clairvoyant, clairaudient, or clairsentient, okay, we're all something. We can all hear or see or sense things, even if we're not aware of it. We can, play around with that and become more aware. But whichever one of those we are, that is how the universe speaks to us, and therefore it's the best way for us to speak to the universe. So if you are clairvoyant, that means that you see. And that's the kind of person that really, really, really needs these pictures, okay? Clairvoyant people that can hear. You might hear the angelic choir. You might, I don't know what you hear. I'm not clairvoyant, clairaudient. But if you're clairaudient, then what you need to do is speak it out loud, the things that you wish for, okay? And then people who are clairsentient like myself, sensing, knowing, we have to be able to feel it. So when you said you saw the pictures and you could visualize yourself being on the yacht, that's exactly what a clairsentient person should do. They should imagine themselves in that place, in that situation, and they have to be able to really feel it in their body. And when you can feel it, man, it comes fast. It really does come fast. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you for that. That's great.
You're welcome.
Right. So you have a process that helps people access their magnificent self. And before we get started with that, I would like to remind everyone that if you've been over in our Facebook group, I forgot to mention the link, but you got the daily email. We're going to take a break from the Facebook group during this process, and then once it's over, we'll be back. So the Facebook group, again, is facebook.com/groups/Center for Inspiring Your Greatness. Okay. Takara, would you lead our listeners through the process of accessing their magnificent self?
Absolutely. So just like we were talking a few minutes ago about visualizing and feeling, this is a meditational experience that I'm going to walk you through. And the whole idea is to try to see the things that I'm describing as best you can, but also to try to feel what it would feel like if it were happening to you right now, these things that I'm going to describe, okay? So what we'll do is we'll begin by closing your eyes and then take a few slow, deep breaths, focusing your attention on your heart. So just as we breathe in and breathe out slowly and gently, releasing any cares, any stress. If there is any tension in your body, just relax and let it go. And then in this space of being a little bit more calm, a little more relaxed, think of something that you're really thankful for, something you feel gratitude about. Once you're fully relaxed, we're going to begin to travel forward in time. I want you to imagine yourself sitting near a big stage in some sort of arena. It could be a school auditorium or a civic center or the Super Bowl stadium. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever you see or sense. And this location, this arena, is filled to capacity with people who are very excited and thrilled to be there, including you. The MC takes the stage in his tuxedo as the crowd all cheers and claps. And the next thing you know, you hear the MC calling your name over the microphone. You are being asked to come up on stage to accept your Life Achievement Award. You are stunned because you had no idea that this entire event and all these people are here to celebrate you and the contribution you've made in the world. As you make your way to the stage and climb the stairs, you hear him say that every single person in attendance is someone whose life you have touched in a positive way. It brings joy to your heart and possibly even tears to your eyes. I want you to take a moment and look around. See the faces, the gratitude and joy that you have made such a difference in so many people's lives. Feel what it feels like to be on that stage. Soak it in. Bask in the radiance of that appreciation and acknowledgement. And now you go over to the MC and you accept your award and you take your bow. As you begin to head back to your seat, let us move back in time, closer to now, and we'll stop for a moment. Take a moment to discover the one skill, divine talent, God's gift, if you will, that you possess, that if you fine-tuned it and expressed it, you would impact this many people in such a positive way. Regardless of the past, the drama you've endured, what others think of you, the failures you've experienced, you have a unique skill or talent that when fine-tuned and expressed is a blessing to all those around you because you were born to be magnificent. Now I want you to come back to this moment right now and discover what it is that's stopping you. You already have this gift and this talent and this skill. So what is this giant boulder standing in the way of you getting up on that stage to accept that reward in the future? What is keeping you from touching that many lives in a positive way? Whatever you see or hear or sense is absolutely perfect. Whatever is in the way right now is your greatest teacher. Your job is to go beyond that and become the person you saw yourself becoming on that stage. Remember what it feels like to be on that stage and have that many people whose lives you've impacted being in appreciation. And let that give you enough courage to move forward, give you confidence, and give you, when you have fear, to step beyond it, knowing all those people are waiting for you and your skill and your talent to touch their lives. And so now, wiggle your fingers and your toes. Move your head around a little bit. Be right here, right now, feeling truly magnificent. Okay.
Oh, wow, Takara, that was really powerful. That was really powerful. That was a great, great exercise. And, yeah, that was really, really cool. I would love to hear, and I know Takara would too, would love to hear what you got from that exercise. What did you see? What did you feel? What did you hear? Yeah, let's share in our Facebook group. That was really
absolutely.
Really
cool. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what people write there. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for walking us through that. That was really good.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So now, as you talk about the 4 noble C's, they say, and say that they must be achieved and maintained at all times in order to lead a more magnificent life, what are these 4 noble C's?
Well, I've talked to you about a couple of experiences because I was in tune. My intuition is finely tuned. So I came up with these 4 words that all start with C, that when you have these 4 all going on, you're in that perfect place to receive and manifest and live your life in flow. So the first one is calm, and then there's clear, and then there's confident, and then there's connected. And I'll explain all of those. So to be calm means that you're centered, balanced, and at peace. You're living in harmony within your body, within the world around you, and with the world at large. You are, no matter what's going on, even if you're in the eye of a storm, you are centered and balanced and at peace. That's what it means to be calm, even if there's trauma, drama. Clear means that you've healed the trauma, drama, and the false beliefs, fears, judgments, expectations, and other things that you hold that are not the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We have these experiences. We have the stuff our family taught us. We have the things that we learned in school and in religion and in peers and life experiences. We make up stuff even about how life is because we went through some horrendous thing. And because we have those present, how we experience here and now is tainted. So what's really happening and our perception of what's happening are not always the same. But when you're clear, you're seeing it in truth, in reality, and it allows you to flow in and flow out and to get these little intuitive promptings. Connected, what I'm talking about there is to be divinely connected, to be aligned with your higher wisdom, your higher self, to be in a spiritual relationship with the world. Like, to me, every moment, every breath, every person, every experience is sacred. It's all holy. Everywhere I walk is holy ground. Everything I eat is sacred food. I'm in communion all the time with divinity and spirituality, and I meditate every day, that sort of thing. Staying in connection. The more you are in tune and connected like that, the more these intuitions happen.
Okay, and what about confident? You touched on...
Confident. Sorry, I did skip over, didn't I?
That's okay.
Confident means that you know who you are. You feel confident in taking actions, even the ones that scare you. Like you trust yourself and the universe enough to take the actions you know need to be taken in order to live the life that you desire or to manifest the things that you want to manifest and to become the person that you want to be. Because usually if you're not already where you want to be, if you don't have the lifestyle or whatever it is you're looking for, the health or the relationship or any of those things, it's usually you that needs to grow a little bit. And that takes confidence and courage, right? So I actually have a 5th C. There's actually a 5th noble C, and that one is courage. But it's something I can't give a person. I can't teach them about it. It's something they just have to muster up from within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So
Yeah.
those are the C's. Those are the C's.
Wonderful.
So I'll say them again. Calm, clear, confident, connected, and having courage.
Awesome. Oh, being courageous is one of the most challenging yet rewarding things, I think, in life. You know,
well,
having the courage to move forward.
But you have to, people who play small, people who say they want a certain thing but they're not willing to get uncomfortable. One of my favorite lines is, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm.
And the reason is, you never grow if you just stay in your little comfort zone. Everything I've ever accomplished required that I do something that made me a little bit uncomfortable, and sometimes really uncomfortable. Like becoming a best-selling author, I had to step out of my comfort zone. Thank you. I had to step out of my comfort zone. I had to send emails to strangers. That was the hardest thing in the world for me.
Right.
It was tough, but I thought, I finally got up to the final day, and it's like, if I don't send these emails today, when my book launches, not enough people are going to know about it, and no one's going to buy it, and why did I write the thing?
Right.
I had to really I had to psych myself up to send this, and I was like, if I don't do it, no one will. I have to do this. So I did. But it was scary. It was scary. And so was, jumping on a plane and going to Fiji. I hadn't seen Brian in 15 years. But I wanted to be on that boat, I wanted to be on that boat.
Child with you too,
Yes.
Like not knowing what to expect. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was out of my comfort zone, and yet the excitement was there, and it felt right. I was tuned into how I feel things out, and it felt right, but it was still scary.
Right.
And that's, anyway.
Amazing. So what are the 5 practices that you encourage, Takara, that you encourage everyone to do in order to achieve and maintain the noble C's that we just talked about?
Right. So these are not in any particular order, but these are things that I learned to do. I mentioned at the beginning of the interview about I woke up one day remembering being raped, and I then suddenly needed a whole lot of tools to cope with life, to heal that big, huge, giant thing that had happened 15 years before, and all this other stuff. And so some of these things are great tools just to handle stress, but they're also powerful to stay in that place of calm, clear confidence and connection. So the first one I talk about is meditation. And it's the way that you achieve that state of calm, centeredness, clarity that we've been talking about. Meditation on a daily basis does so many positive things. I mean, literally, I did actually write a book about it. So meditation is really powerful, and there's tons of different methods. There's no one right way. It can be as simple as doing Tai Chi, which is, for me, a moving meditation, or following your breath, or doing guided meditation, or, walking a labyrinth. All of these are forms of meditation. So those people that think they have to sit in Om all day, there's a lot of other options.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
The second one is to do some sort of energy, physical movement, like yoga, sun salutations, Tai Chi, the 5 Tibetan rites, any kind of physical movement that opens up all the energy centers in your body and keeps those channels open. And what happens when that happens is you get life force coming through. It's called chi. You have more vitality. You have more energy. You feel better. And that gives you more clarity of thought. Divine wisdom and healing energy are easier to flow into you when you have those energy channels all open. So I begin every single day. First I do meditation, then I do yoga sun salutations. Then I have a cup of hot tea. That's my morning ritual, All right. So
hang on.
Go ahead.
Hang on just a second. So you mentioned yoga sun salutations. That's sun salutations is a particular pose within yoga, is that right?
It's actually a series of poses. It's one big giant move. And you just look up yoga sun salutation online. You can get diagrams, you can get videos, like everybody's doing it. Okay? It's very simple. It's very simple. You only have to do you start with 1 repetition. I actually do 3 repetitions every morning. A lot of people recommend that once you're comfortable with 3, then you keep upping it a little. You're moving your body a lot, and it can be fairly strenuous if you keep going with it. But it's fantastic. It is a fantastic thing, and it's easy, and it's, like I said, if you go online, you can easily find it. Therefore, it's free.
Right.
Free to learn.
Wonderful. Okay, sorry to interrupt. I had to ask about that.
No problem. Okay, so number 3 in our list of the 5 practices I encourage. Okay, number 3, I put it together. It's actually 2 things, but I put them together because together they're really powerful, and that is time alone in silence in nature. I like to spend tons of time alone in silence in nature, but, as a female, depending on where you live, that's not necessarily safe. To go alone in nature, often, some obscure place. But, if you go with a group of people, all of you can, for a little while, walk in silence. Or you can all go sit down and have a 15-minute silent period. You're still with a group. So there's ways to get around it. But when you're in nature, nature soothes us. Nature heals us. Nature, when we're in communion with nature, I'll tell you what, I was living on a sacred mountain in Southern California, and I was pregnant. And every day I sat on the earth and wrote. I'm a writer, so I write. So I would sit for hours sitting on the earth, bare my butt on the earth, okay? Like, not naked or anything, but, I didn't have a blanket. I didn't have any of that stuff. But I would sit on the earth and write, and then I would walk a mile through the meadows to a store, and I'd walk a mile back through the wildflowers every single day of my pregnancy. And I was so tuned into nature and so tuned into my body that I knew the day I conceived, I knew he was a boy, I knew he was backwards. And that's what's possible when you're in tune with nature. So when it comes to meditation, there's this little I don't know, it's maybe a trick, but based on your sun sign in astrology, you are either an earth, air, fire, or water sign. I happen to be Pisces, which means I'm a water person. But all of the signs have an element that makes it easier for you to not only connect to nature, but also to meditate in, okay? So fire signs do really, really well staring into a candle or a fire flame. That's connecting to nature too. Water, all you have to do is take a bath or take a shower. Seriously, I love sitting next to a stream, babbling brooks, by a river. Take me to the ocean any day. That is the kind of thing. But even listening to those sounds of water moving is really a great way to meditate. But sitting near moving water is fabulous as a nature connection for people who have water signs. For earth signs, what I find is, sit on the earth, sit on a boulder, or even play with plants and hold the dirt. I mean, there's something about just playing with the earth itself and the soil that's really, really nurturing to earth people. And for the air, listening to wind chimes, being out in the wind, or imagining, just like we imagined in our meditational experience just a few minutes ago, that we were stepping out on a stage. Well, you can also pretend that you're a bird soaring high above everything, like an eagle or another one of the raptor family. And that's also extremely powerful. way to connect to nature.
Wow.
So
I'm a Gemini. What sign is that?
I don't know.
Okay. No worries.
Look it up.
Look that up.
Look it up and just say Gemini, earth, air, fire, water, and it'll usually there's a lot of places that tell you it breaks them down because it's evenly distributed between the signs. You know, these are all fire, these are all earth. Sorry, I don't know. I used to have a list somewhere, and anyway.
That's totally okay. I just thought I'd ask in case you did.
Okay.
All right. So time alone, in silence, and in nature. That's okay.
That's
What's
right.
the next one?
The next one is dowsing with a pendulum. And not that many people douse. And it's kind of a strange thing, and a lot of people feel it's, old superstitious guys with willow sticks trying to find water, for wells. That's what they think of with dowsing. But what I have found for myself, using a pendulum, asking yes and no and way more complicated questions than that, the minute I pick up my pendulum, I'm saying to the universe, I want your support. I want your guidance. Mm-hmm. And all you're doing is communicating with your higher self anyway.
Yeah.
So it is a way to open the channel to receiving information more quickly and more often. Every time you sit down to douse, you're saying, thy will, not mine, and I'm here ready to be receptive and to seek support. And what happens is you begin to have the answers before you even have the questions. So it really opens up your intuitive nature to practice dowsing.
Beautiful.
And then the fifth one that I recommend is energy tools to raise your vibration. Things like crystals. I have a whole product line called Dancing Dolphin Products. Things that are vibrational in nature, just like when you go to a sacred site like Sedona or Stonehenge or Chichen Itza in Mexico or the Great Pyramids. The vibrations there are Mount Shasta in California. These are places that are at a different vibration. And when you go there, things are easier. You have more access to the things blocking you and to the things that you need to know. And when you work with energy tools, it's a similar result.
Nice.
So those are my 5 things that I recommend.
Excellent. I use all of these things. The one I use the least is some physical movement, and that's why I asked, because I really wanted to, I want to get into yoga, so I'm going to look that up. But the time alone in nature, silence and in nature, we expanded on that. I just want to share how incredibly powerful this really is. The first time that this body had cancer, I just felt an intuitive need to be with nature. And my house in the backyard, my previous home, we had a beautiful, beautiful backyard. It looked like oh, darn it, like the botanical gardens, it had all these beautiful things around, and I had this huge tree with this really strong, big foundation. And I just would find myself hugging the tree. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, the other thing I did was I would lay down on the concrete or on the ground and just feel Mother Earth and feel the energy of Mother Earth, supporting me. And I'm a firm believer that really helped me heal. So I just wanted to share that. I mean, might sound like a crazy thing to do, but it really, really, I know that it helped. I just know that it did.
I think I tell people all the time, to not run into physical issues, one of the best things to do is to spend some time in nature. And if you do have physical issues, the best thing to do is spend some time in nature. Nature is an amazing healer, and there's something about it really is centering and calming. You know, Mother Earth, we're so screwed up, I'd say. You know, I keep threatening to write a book called The Unnatural Nature of Life. Okay.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, I probably will actually sometime. But, you know, the ideas in there are things like it's not normal, it's not natural to live in artificial lighting all the time.
Right.
Okay, there's a rhythm that the earth has. There's seasons that the earth goes through. There's this amount of light and this amount of dark, and when you're in harmony with that, the body works better than when you artificially, you know, with this crazy daylight savings time and all of that, and you know, staying up until the wee hours looking at an electronic screen on a computer and all these electromagnetics from electricity. All of these things are not natural for the body. And all the preservatives and chemicals and things in our food. I mean, I could go on forever. When you can get back in tune with nature and you can get back to purity and clarity and just the simplicity of sitting on the earth without all that other nonsense, there is something amazing that happens. And when you are doing that on some regular basis, it doesn't have to be every day. It can be, I decide that on a Saturday I will take a walk and spend time in nature, you know, for a couple of hours. You know, I mean, it's great if it can be every day, but if you can't, you can't, and that's okay, but do it when you can. But I find that when you're in tune, the more in tune you are, the more when you have an issue, like I was pregnant, it's kind of like you having cancer. In those situations, there's things you need to do for your body. There's nutrients that you need. There's, you know, they're very different, and yet they're similar in that the body has needs and specific needs. And so when you're in tune with nature, you have this just the intuitions, the insight about what would be beneficial for you, I believe, are hugely amplified.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we just have to learn to listen to that and what I call our internal guidance system. You know, we've just got to tune in. And, oh, man, these 5 things, Takara, are wonderful. They're all wonderful ways and to be able to connect. And since we, you know, started getting a little bit on the topic, sorry about that, about the signs, and we talked about, you know, fire, earth, air, and water. I just wanted to share, if anybody was interested, what signs are what elements. So the fire sign, the signs that are associated with fire are Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The signs associated with earth are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. The signs associated with air is Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And the signs associated with water is Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. So, answer solved.
Yay, you found it. That's awesome.
If anybody else has that question.
I'm sure they would, yes.
Yeah. Is there anything else, Takara, that is important to, you know, that you want to talk about that I didn't ask about leading a more magnificent life that you'd like to share now with our listeners?
I would just say that everyone has a unique skill and talent and gift, and that if you have a true desire, even if you don't know how you might achieve it or how it would even be possible, if it's truly burning in your heart, not burning, but, you know, it's really a heartfelt desire. When you think about it, it literally brings tears to your eyes. That's your soul telling you that this thing that you're desiring, it truly is for you. And you can have this thing. Usually it means you need to grow a little and change a little and let go of some things and heal some stuff. But it is possible. It's very, very possible. And so don't give up and don't listen to the naysayers, but just believe in yourself and step into your true magnificence.